So we're picking up from where we left off in chapter 20 in the mysteries of the silent brotherhood of the East, the adept chamber of the dead, the mysteries of Egypt. The senior course of study now was opened up, and Yahshua entered and became a pupil of the Hierophant, or the magician, or the high priest. So that gives us a viewpoint of what we're about to read. All right, so he learned the secrets of the mystic lore of Egypt land, the mysteries of life and death, and of the world beyond the circle of the sun. When he had finished all the studies of the senior course, he went into the chamber of the dead that he might learn the ancient methods of preserving from decay the bodies of the dead, and here he wrought. And carriers brought the body of a widow's son to be embalmed. The weeping mother followed close. Her grief was great. And Yahshua said, "Good woman, dry your tears. You follow but an empty house. Your son is in it not." So her son transitioned. The body is not her son. That's just the vessel, right? So Yahshua is saying, you follow but an empty house. Your son is in it not. You weep because your son is dead. Death is not a cruel word. Your son can never die. He had a task assigned to do in garb of flesh. He came, he did his work, and then he laid the flesh aside. He did not need it anymore. Beyond the human sight, he has another work to do, and he will do it well, and then pass to other tasks. And by, he will attain the crown of perfect life, and what your son has done, and what he yet must do, we all must do. Now, if you harbor grief and give your sorrows vent, they will grow greater every day. They will absorb your very life. At last, you will be not. We down with bitter tears instead of helping him. You grieve your son by your deep grief. He seeks your solace. Now, as he has ever done, is glad when you are glad, is saddened when you grieve. Go bury deep your woes and smile at grief, and lose yourself in helping others dry their tears. With duty done comes happiness and joy, and gladness cheers the hearts of those who have passed on. The weeping woman turned and went her way to find happiness and helpfulness. So Yahshua gave her a lesson to find happiness and being helpful. Don't worry about the transition, because as we just read in the beginning section of this chapter, it's just a vessel, right? Your son is in it not. That's what Yahshua was saying, right? To bury deep her sorrows in a ministry of joy. And then other carriers came and brought the body of a mother to the chamber of the dead. And just one mourner followed, she, a girl of tender years. And as the cortege near the door, the child observes a wounded bird in sore distress. A cruel hunter's dart had pierced its breast, and she left following the dead and went to help the living bird. With tenderness and love, she folded to her breast the wounded bird, then hurried to her place. And Yahshua said to her, "Why did you leave your dead to save the wounded bird?" The maiden said, "This lifeless body needs no help from me. My mother taught me this. My mother taught that grief and selfish love and hopes and fears are but reflexes from the lower self. That what we sense is but small waves upon the rolling billows of a life. These all will pass away. They are unreal. Tears flow from tears of flesh. The spirit never weeps, and I am longing of the day when I can walk in the light where tears are wiped away. My mother taught that all emotions are sprays that rise from human love and hope and fears. That perfect bliss cannot be ours till we have conquered these. Bars. You cannot live in perfect bliss until you have conquered these. What is these? What do you need to conquer? Emotions, fears. And in the presence of that child did Yahshua bow his head in reverence. He said, "For days and months and years I have sought to learn this highest truth that man can learn on earth. And here a child, fresh brought to earth, has told it all in one short breath." No wonder David said, "O Allah, O our Lord, how excellent is thy name in all the earth. Out of the mouth of babes and sucklings hast thou ordained strength." And then he laid his hand upon the maiden's head and said, "I am sure the blessings of my Father Allah will rest upon you, child, forever." So we see another lesson dealing with the transitioning, the real self transitioning from the vessel's left behind, and the comprehension of the real you is no longer in the vessel. The real you has left the vessel. That's why it becomes stiff, because that life and essence is gone. So I'm going to yield the floor for any thoughts, comments, and Islam, and happy holiday to Ali Khan Bey, Humble Bey, and Hanuna Bey.
Islam, happy holiday.
Islam.
Islam, peace and most high love to all the Moors.
Islam, Moors, Islam. Happy holiday.
Holiday.
Can you scroll up so I can screenshot the next page for my notes? Oh, no. Down a little bit. More. Okay. No. Okay. The last number is what, 23?
Oh, the last number is
29. Okay.
Any thoughts on this chapter?
Islam. It's good to know that it wasn't only one side of teaching. He had to learn all aspects of life, basically, of this journey here, including the passing to the next life, and what to do with the body here, and what that means, and what we feel about that, and is that even real, what we feel about it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you see how when you put everything together in a collective, from the beginning of the Circle 7 to now where we're at in the Silent Brotherhood, you see the lessons that he learned, and then he's being tested. Now, these are all the tests, and now we're dealing with tests, dealing with afterlife, quote unquote, or transitioning. Because remember, if y'all remember in the Circle Seven, that it was another lesson in the same vein,
Yep.
dealing with how to deal
With death, it reminded me. Mhm.
So it's like the second go around dealing with that in a different form. Uh, any other thoughts on this segment?
Islam. So that part towards the end, my mother taught that all emotions are sprays that rise from human love and hope and fears, that perfect bliss cannot be ours till we have conquered these. Yeah, really, we gotta conquer them fears, conquer these emotions, step into our highest self, our higher self, I feel, so we can have that eternal bliss and happiness. That's what I got from that.
Islam. Yeah. It's interesting how when you master something, you elevate, and like you were saying earlier, Phoenix, the growing pains of your ascension. It might be a headache, it might be fatigue or whatever, but then the bounce back is great. You know what I mean? Once you get past that. Yeah. Any other comments, thoughts before we transition?
So, I kind of saw this in a metaphysical sense, as far as not physical death, more as transmutation, transforming yourself into something new. All those old parts of you die, and you do become unrecognizable to certain people, and they feel like they lost you, but that comes from being attached. And when you don't conquer your emotions and stuff like that, you have a hard time releasing people. Like what number was it? It said something about the body is not the flesh or something like that. But yeah, you've become a whole new being, a whole new energy that just don't vibrate at the same level as other people.
Mm-hmm. I believe you're talking about line number 4. You follow but an empty house.
There we go.
Sin is not in it. Yeah, that tickle. Yahshua tickles me like all throughout this literature because he'll say like these little one-liners, these little slick one-liners, but he'd be on point though.
Imagine him on the record.
Right. He just hit.
Large today.
That's what I'm saying. Last chapter, he pulled it all out. Like that's why I say he sounded like a pimp because it was just word after word. He didn't even start like a paragraph of it, not a sentence anymore. Like damn.
Yeah, he was hitting them.
Really into what was going on. But yeah.
He was and just a young man, But yeah, man.
Islam.
Nah.
Islam, yeah, it's powerful to just ponder and meditate on the magnitude of all the lessons that Yahshua had learned. And then we in chapter 20, which I'm looking at the 2, which represents wisdom. That was his supreme manifestation, is to gain wisdom throughout all these lessons. And just the magnitude of how the frequency hits you when you read the Bible. And the Bible says, Yahshua said that, what he came to do, you would come to do better. So it's like, man, we got to catch up. That's why these lessons wasn't revealed to us to a certain time. So it's just beautiful to see the divine reflection between us and him. You know what I'm saying? Because we share the same bloodline. So yeah, man, Islam, I yield.
Islam.
Wow.
It kind of reminds me of like the animal kingdom, sometimes when the animal's getting eaten by like a lion or something, their first reaction is to like flee, but then after they know they're caught, they don't even fight it anymore. They're like, well, I guess this is my purpose to become someone's dinner. They're like detached from their physical flesh and just, you know,
Yeah.
it just trips me out because I like watching videos like that in nature. It really seems like that. Like these animals, they
Are
just try not
screaming
to fight.
in
Yeah,
agony,
surrender.
pain. They're in agony and pain once they're caught. If
Yeah,
you actually watch a lion, leopard, tiger, whatever, rip the flesh of a deer, whatever it is, antelope, whatever, it looks very painful. It looks like the worst thing that could ever happen to a living being. Like it's terrible. But yeah, ultimately that's what it is. You become dinner.
yeah.
Yeah, man. Like the circle of life, man, you know, like it's interesting.
You said you become dinner. That's like metaphysical too. Like these energy vampires will eat your ass the fucking live if you don't set boundaries and shit. So yeah.
Yeah. Empress Lacey, you got something?
Yes, Islam. I just wanted to share with y'all today at my work, they played a motivational video, and the guy was actually talking about the difference between the antelope and the lion, and that the antelope gets up every day and, you know, it knows it has to run and it's fearful, so it's always running for its life, because that's how it has to survive. If there's nothing there behind it, like a threat pushing it, it just stands still, it doesn't move. You know, that's when it gets eaten. But it was like the difference between a lion is they wake up, they know that they have to do what they have to do to survive, to provide for their pack and everything. So like the lion already knows its why, its purpose, and doesn't need, you know, something scaring them to drive them forward. They just wake up and they get to it. So when he was talking about the animals, I was like, oh wow, we were talking about that today. So just knowing like what is our purpose and our intention, like the lions.
Yeah.
Islam.
Islam.
And then my mind go to the divine warning, the lion and the lamb being able to rest together in peace, and you know, and then you know, metaphysically, we know that's the mind and the heart, but you know, it's still symbolic of just two different sides or walks of life being able to coexist. Um, two different extremes being able to be balanced, you know. But yeah, that's beautiful right there.
There's even videos like that where like a coyote will be helping out. Like I don't know, I seen crazy videos where like I don't know, maybe he's saving them for later or whatever, but like that's how it is in nature. They won't take what they don't need. Like the lion will lay down with the lamb if he's not hungry. He's not just gonna kill just to kill.
Right, right. Yeah, it's interesting. Even observation, I noticed like even looking at cats, you see like they're very observant. And I think that's a scientific approach that humans kind of lost. Um, because even in science, it's a lot of observation and taking data and seeing what went with this and did that work and different stuff like that. But I don't want to go off into a tangent on that. Any other thoughts on this piece before we transition? The seven elements of jurisdiction. So we got seven elements of jurisdiction. An affirmative responsibility of any national or citizen is to adhere to and enforce the principles embodied within the national constitution of his or her national government, nation state, and of society at large. This proposition embodies a primal rule in civilization and involves the duties and of citizenship. Constitutions are designed to maintain justice, peace, and harmony within a social order or body politic. Therefore, for directives and social duties and for general intersocial instructions, the advent or the arrival of the universal oriented science of government, the science of government, which is jurisprudence, it's synonymous. That science is called civics, nationhood, citizenship, nationality, public service, politics, economics, and organized government in general constitute the science and discipline called civics. So it's a discipline. When you look at it as being a discipline, you look at it totally different. Constitutions are set forth to designate authority to those who govern and to delegate limits of authority to each and every specific office or seat. The Constitution does not give rights to the nationals and citizens. Constitutions are in place to preserve the divine and natural rights that already exist by natural and divine law. Constitutions are generally written to harmonize with nature's law and nature's God. Important aspects of the American Constitution that express the essence of its construct are demonstrated in Article 3 and Article 6. In relationship to the limitations of delegated authority, the readers and scholars will find that these articles strongly deal with the issue of jurisdiction. Although the subject of jurisdiction is not limited to them, however, the intended preservation of the substantive rights of the people have been and are addressed with the established principles expressed within these articles. Supportive of these articles are the Bill of Rights, which is comprised of 10 amendments. 10 Bill of Rights. That's it. Just 10. No 11th Amendment, 12th Amendment, 13th Amendment, 14th Amendment. Just 10. Because it's called the 10 Bill of Rights. Just throwing that out there. These should be studied intently whenever any controversy arises concerning jurisdiction. Jurisdiction is the power to act, and more succinctly, the authority to do or to act in relationship to the limited authority assigned to a political seat, a judgeship, to a court, to a trust, to any position in relationship to such exercises. The following relate to the secure rights of the people as embodied within the American Constitution. Whenever anyone is accused of a crime or charged with an offense, the following rules are to be known, preserved, followed, and acknowledged as they are firmly in accordance with the supreme law of the land. All right, so here we go. The accused must be properly identified. The accused must be properly identified in such a fashion there is no room for a mistaken identity. The individual must be singled out from all others. Otherwise, anyone could be subject to arrest and trial without benefit of wrong party defense, quote unquote. Almost always, the means of identification is a person's proper name. But any means of identification is equally valid if said means differentiates the accused without doubt. There is no constitutionally valid requirement. You must identify yourself. See the Fourth Amendment. Also see Brown versus Texas and Collender versus Lawson.
Excuse me.
Islam.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I believe we read these on Wednesday because I have them in my notes already.
You do?
So it's the accused must be properly identified. Statute of offense must be clearly identified. Offense or nature of charge must be intelligently identified. Accuser must be properly identified. The accusation must be made under penalty of perjury. Accusation must be accorded due process, and the court must be one of competent jurisdiction. This wasn't what we read from. It looked different. It had red writing around it, but it's the same thing.
Okay.
It's probably
good
worded
stuff.
different, but the information is the same.
Okay.
Gotta get that repetition in though to really memorize these laws and stuff.
That's true.
So I'm just gonna
That's cool though. You're on point.
reiterate.
I'm like, I see this. This looks very familiar because I do repetition because I write it out and then I got to go over it and then type it. So I'm like, nah, this looks too familiar.
Yeah. It is like a little slight differences, but essentially, well, it must be in harmony, like you said, repetition. So I'm just gonna fly through it, and that'll just be kind of what it is.
Islam Morris, happy holiday, peace and love. Islam.
Islam, happy holy day.
All right. What else? Okay. So statute of offense must be clearly identified. The statute of offense must be identified by its proper or common name. A number is insufficient. Today, a citizen may stand in jeopardy of criminal sanctions for alleged violation of statutes, regulations, or even low-level bureaucratic orders. For example, Colorado National Monument Superintendent's orders regarding an unleashed dog or a dog defecating on a trail. If a number were to be deemed sufficient, government could bring new and different charges at any time by alleging a clerical error. For any act to be triable as an offense, it must be declared to be a crime. Charges must negate an exception forming part of the statutory definition of an offense by affirmative non-applicability. In other words, any charge must affirmatively negate any exception found in law. And that my mind goes to, you can challenge the constitutionality of a statute. That's something that you can do. All right, so offense or nature of charge must be intelligently described. The acts of alleged offense must be described in non-prejudicial language and detail so as to enable a person of average intelligence to understand the nature of the charge, to enable preparation of defense. The actual act or acts constituting the offense complained of. The charge must not be described by parroting the statute, but by the language of the same. So just penal code with a number, that's not saying anything. The name of the acts of the offense describes a specific offense, whereas the verbiage of a statute describes only a general class of offense. Facts must be stated. Conclusions cannot be considered in the determination of probable cause. And keep in mind, like last time, the whole what due process is, and the reason numbers can't be a crime is because it's back to the injured party thing. It's back to an injured party with a sworn affidavit saying you did X, Y, Z. And then that person took it to a grand jury. Then the grand jury, sent out a summons with that affidavit from that person attached to it, so you can prepare a defense. The actual acts, the charge must not, I just read that, okay. Accuser must be positively identified. The accuser must be named, he, she, accuser, must be an officer or a third party. But some positively identifiable person, human being, must accuse. Some certain person must take responsibility for making the accusation, not an agency or an institution. Right? So an agency or institution can't talk, right? But once again, they have employees, they got board members, they got personnel. A human being can sue you, not an agency or an institution, right? The accuser must be positively identified, right? So the city of, the state of is not an accuser. This is the only valid means by which a citizen may begin to face his accuser. Also, the injured party or corpus delicti must make the accusation. Hearsay evidence may not be provided. Anyone else testifying that they heard that another party was injured does not qualify as direct evidence. The accusation must be made under penalty of perjury. And typically that's what an affidavit is. It always is concluded. Like I said before, I swear that this is the truth under penalty of perjury. In our case, in harmony with the ancient principles of our ancestors, in harmony with all the holy books, our divine creed, etc. We'll close out affidavits like that. The accusation must be made under penalty of perjury. If perjury cannot reach the accuser, there is no accusation. Otherwise, anyone may accuse another falsely without risk, right? So the city of whoever, the state of whoever, any corporation, which we know corporation can't bring a claim, but that's another way just to be looking at things is, did Walmart swear under perjury that I did something wrong? Right? So of course not. Who's gonna sign on behalf of Walmart? That must be the person bringing the charges, right? And then you're gonna see that's gonna take you down another door, right? So the accused must be accorded due process. To comply with the 5 elements above, there are, for the accusation to be valid, the accused must be afforded due process. Accuser must have complied with law, procedure, and form in bringing the charge. This includes court-determined probable cause, summons, and notice procedure. If lawful process may be abrogated in placing a citizen in jeopardy, then any means may be utilized to deprive him of his freedom, and all dissent may be stifled by utilization of defective process. The essential elements of due process are notice and opportunity to defend. Simon versus Kraft. One is not entitled to protection unless he has reasonable cause to apprehend danger from a direct answer. The mere assertion of a privilege does not immunize him. The court must determine whether his refusal is justified. and may require that he is mistaken in his refusal. Hoffman versus United States. The court must be competent, must be of a competent jurisdiction, properly delegated. The court must be one of competent jurisdiction to have valid process. The tribunal must be a creature of its constitution in accord with the law of its creation, i.e., Article 3 judge. Lacking any of the 7 elements of portions thereof, unless waived intentionally or unintentionally, all designed to ensure, again, further prosecution or double jeopardy, to ensure against further prosecution or double jeopardy. It is the defendant's duty to inform the court of facts alleged for determination of sufficiency to support conviction, should one be obtained. Otherwise, there is no lawful notice, and charge must be dismissed for failure to state an offense. Without lawful notice, there is no personal jurisdiction, and all proceedings prior to filings of a proper trial document in compliance with the 7 elements are void. A lawful act is always legal, but many legal acts by government are often unlawful. Most bureaucrats lack elementary knowledge and incentive to comply with mandates of constitutional due process, but will make mistakes. Numbers beyond count have been convicted without benefit of governmental adherence to these 7 elements. Today, informations are being filed and prosecuted by accepted practice rather than due process of law. Do not assume that the attorneys or lawyers are working in the client's best interest. And you can see corpus juris secundum, and you'll see that's the law that the lawyers or bar members rather operate under. The attorney's first duty is to the courts and the public, not to the client. And whether the duties to his client conflict with those he owes as an officer of the court is in the administration of justice, the former must yield to the latter. Clients are also called wards of the court in regard to their relationship with their attorneys. Do not assume that court officers are competent or legitimate. Corpus juris secundum assumes courts will operate in a lawful manner. If the accused makes this assumption, he may learn to his detriment through experience that certain questions of law, including the question of personal jurisdiction, may never be raised and addressed, especially when the accused is represented by the bar. Sometimes licensed counsel appears to take on the characteristics of a fox guarding the hen house. Jurisdiction must be proven upon challenge. Jurisdiction, once challenged, is to be proven not by the court, but by the party attempting to assert jurisdiction. So that's something that I think people need to wrap their head around too, is when you're saying challenging jurisdiction, what are we saying, right? Jurisdiction wants challenges to be proven not by the court, but by the party attempting to assert jurisdiction on any level, right? But remember, we're talking injured party, so who's bringing the charges? The quote unquote DA, right? Or the district attorney or whatever. He's basically saying he's the injured party. The burden of proof of jurisdiction lies with the asserter. The court is only to rule on the sufficiency of the proof tendered. And I think Mutazamaji was watching like the People's Court or something like that, or Judge Mathis. And even though we know that's like As entertainment court, they're gonna be talking slick on there because they know the cameras is on. But if the cameras was off, those type of courts, they just deal with evidence. It's just the person. It ain't no bar member. It's just that person with their evidence in this. They call it small claims court. But that's what you want to turn all these courts into is, law. And that's all their job is to do, is to rule on the sufficiency of the proof tendered. That was my point. That's their only job, not to have personal opinions, and it's just, you know what I mean? So I want to open the floor. Any thoughts on what I just read? It was some different wording from last time, so felt the repetition was good. They say, I think, 7 to 10 times you do something anyway, it locks in. But yeah, I want to open the floor for any thoughts.
I like the way this one was formatted because I like the little key points that it had at the bottom. It just like basically let you know you got to be on top of your stuff. You can't expect these people to know what they talking about or to be on your side. You got to know what you're doing by yourself. Stand on your square. And when these people come at you, you got to correct them by any means.
Yeah. Anybody else got any thoughts on that?
Islam.
Islam.
I thought it was very interesting how in the beginning it said, how the 7 elements of jurisdiction was related in reflection to discipline. And we all know that discipline is related to that Saturn energy and also the retribution. So it takes discipline to stand there squarely and proclaim your nationality and your status, and to hold firmly on your jurisdiction with your flag. You know what I mean? It takes a lot of discipline. And you know what I'm saying? I would suggest everybody go over this again. Just, keep it redundant in your mind, because jurisdiction is like the first order of law, you know what I'm saying, and status, and they can't move any further, especially lower courts. You know what I mean? And when you start getting used to writing your own affidavits and getting into your own writs, you'll see that it's a big game, and eventually you got to remove it to a higher court that has an Article 3 jurisdiction. And but yeah, man, that 7 stood out as far as the Saturn energy. And that goes back to where we were reading the mysteries of the silent brotherhood, with keeping ourselves together, especially with our emotions. You know what I mean? Because our emotional power could either go from the lowest adrenaline or the highest adrenaline. And that's what the 7 represents. You either a master or a servant, or you know what I'm saying, a God, a Christ being, or a deviant. You know what I mean? So I don't know, that just stood out. But I yield. I know I took up a lot of space, but I yield. Islam.
No, that was beautiful, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Islam, you got something, Phoenix? You can say something?
Oh yeah, it's basically piggybacking off of what Humble said. So he said it's a game. It's a reason they call it a fucking courtroom. Like, they really be in there playing games with us. And it really baffles me that they use the laws from the sea, and we not at sea, like we on land. So yeah, you gotta pay attention to the words. That word magic is real tricky. And if you don't pay attention, you fall deeper and deeper into those spells.
Yeah, man. And like you said, it's a discipline. Once you in the dojo, you getting sharp on concepts. They can't really rattle you. Everything's a measuring stick. And I over the couple years of just different Moors that been in court, and then my experiences that I've witnessed. What they'll do, if you just stand firm, they're gonna continue. They're gonna do what they call as a continuance till the wheels fall off, and then all of a sudden it's just There's no dates scheduled to come back type of thing. Because what's going on is they don't want no res judicata or stare decisis or case law to be in these pseudo municipal courts. All it takes is one more to get a victory in these pseudo courts and to lay a precedent where it's gonna be like, oh, the Moore versus Wooty Woo. They don't want that. They'll just dismiss the case or something like that for something crazy. They're gonna blame them dismissing the case or something like that, or they won't even say dismiss. They just won't even say the time to come back. And it ain't you look in the books. It ain't no like this case only. You talking to the clerks. Oh, this case don't exist no more. I don't know. It's a clerical error. You know what I mean? Like so. The reason I'm sharing that is when you stay firm with the principles and you get it all in the transcript, all they're gonna do is, and oh, another one, they'll bluff you out like as if it's going to trial. They want to because it really can't. Look, if it goes to trial, they're putting now it's really human beings hearing facts over principles of law, right? That's what they don't want because it's people that got common sense. You start talking about some law that pertain to you and your citizenship and no injured party and things been decided and you spit the Constitution better than the bar member. They're gonna be like, hold on. I'm telling you, all these are the bluff tactics to see if you're gonna stand on your square. Are you gonna go to trial for the whoop whoop whoop? Okay. They're gonna do that, right? As a matter of fact, they just did it with a couple of the Moors out there in Rhode Island. For the I think it was like I don't know what their charges was, but it was something with a firearm. However, they penal code described it, but they just beat that. You know what I mean? Bluffed them out with the trial. They was like, I'm going to trial. Case is over. Case is dismissed. All of a sudden, right? So it's about they're gonna test your will. Yeah. Anybody else have any other thoughts on this particular matter? 7 elements of jurisdiction. All right, so who's next? We got, I believe, Ali Khan is next with the presentation. Anybody else that wanted, just to volunteer to be after him? Just go right ahead. Don't be shy. Because once again, it can even be over. Keep in mind, it's not, you don't want to think about it too hard. Just it can be something that you are already competent in, that you're comfortable in already. It's just about delivering it and rolling it out as if you're talking to an audience that don't know what you're talking about. Because that will be the case someday. And that matters, That's disciplining itself, to organize your thoughts, relay it. You got something, Ali?
Islam. So I'm just gonna run through the 7 Hermetic principles.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm gonna go from there. Let me see. I don't know how to turn the camera around.
Oh, you doing it right now?
Oh yeah. Which
Okay, let me give you access to you're trying to screen share, right?
well, I got the actual book, so I don't know.
Oh, you want to just flip it? Okay, you got it. All right.
Yeah.
What book do you have?
This is the Kabbalion, not to be confused with the Kabbalah.
Okay, I have to go grab my book real quick. I almost fell out my chair trying to hurry up and grab it. Okay.
Okay. But yeah, so these are the 7 Hermetic principles, just written by some initiates inspired by the work of Hermes, aka Tahuti, and yeah, I'm going to start with mentalism. So let me see. Mentalism. I don't know if y'all can see. Y'all can see?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah,
Okay. So mentalism. The all is mind. The universe is mental. So basically, your thoughts dictate your actions. And based on your actions will determine whether or not like you'll have like a sound mind or not, or whether or not you're level headed. Next is correspondence. So as above, so below, as below, so above. So anything that's happening on the inside is happening on the outside. What's happening up is happening down. Yeah, so that's pretty much the gist of that one. Vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. So no matter what you're looking at, whether it's a tree, whether it's a glass cup, whatever it is moving at a rate that your naked eye can't see. So nothing is standing still, nothing is sitting still. Everything is moving, even though it doesn't look like it. And then number 4 is polarity. Everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. So there's always going to be an opposing side. There's always going to be red, blue, or, black, white, that type of thing. Basically, there's a foil for even people. Like there's always an opposite. There's somebody out there that's the complete opposite of you. So polarity, that's number 4. Number 5 is rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. So basically, everything has a beginning and an end. Nothing is basically fixed, or nothing is going to stay the same, pretty much. And that was number 5. So number 6 is cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. So nothing that happens to you is a coincidence, or nothing that you see is a coincidence. Everything happens for a reason. And yeah, the choices that you make ultimately affect you in the long run. And then 7, we have gender. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. So you have masculine and feminine, male and female. No in between or anything like that, just male and female. And yeah, that's pretty much the last Hermetic principle. So before I move on and go into detail into the next page or the next couple pages, I wanted to see if anybody had any questions or any comments or anything.
I got a question.
Uh-huh.
What would be an example of as within and so without?
So I would say like the stars, the planetary energy. So like you're gonna react based on what the planets and the stars are doing. You're gonna basically function, whether it's in a negative way or a positive way, based on what's happening outside of this energy that we're in, as far as Earth, other planets basically affecting you. Also, how you're feeling on the inside is going to show on the outside to other people. So if you're having bad thoughts or you're going through something, people are going to pick up on it, basically. And unless you're really like a good actor, it's kind of hard to pretty much hide from that. You know, people always like you'll be in a specific mode or mood or something like that, and people will be like, "Oh, you good?" And even though you probably saying, "Nah, I'm good" or whatever, they can sense that or see that you're not good. So that would be in it. Islam. And so this next page kind of goes into more detail on what the author is trying to convey. So mentalism. Wait, hold on. All right, there we go. Mentalism. Maitland asserts that my bad, my fingers off. That consciousness is the indispensable condition of existence. Matter is itself merely a mode of consciousness. So basically, yeah, the universe is like a mental thing. Your thoughts and how you are, your actions basically determine the type of person you are as well. So if your head ain't on straight, then you know that's going to determine how you function in society or amongst other people. And the next one is correspondence. So you see, Maitland writes, from the oneness of original being comes as a corollary the law of correspondence between all planes or spheres of existence, in virtue of which the macrocosm is as the microcosm, the universe as the individual, the world is man, and man is God. So you are an extension of the creator. We all have the creator inside of us. We are basically supposed to we're not supposed to be debased. We're not supposed to debase ourselves when it comes to that term God. Like we're not supposed to look at God as something that's outside of ourselves, and that's a part of oneness. So I'm gonna move on to number 3, which is vibrations, and okay. So wait, hold on. Vibration. The Kabbalion formulates this principle. Thus, nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. This idea echoes a passage in one of the Hermetic texts. There is nothing immutable, nothing stable, nothing unchanging in nature, either in the heavens or the earth. So everything has a beginning and end. Every kingdom that rises will eventually fall. Everything that's born or that is basically born, they're basically destined to shed the flesh, like we talked about earlier. They're just using a vessel. So ultimately you'll leave this physical plane. It's always a beginning and end. Nothing is staying. Everything is constantly changing. Everything fluctuates. Number 4, polarity. Maitland writes, all being modes of the one, no inherent antagonism or essential difference is possible. Total unconsciousness is not being embarrassed to the consciousness, the relation of darkness to light, the latter alone of the two being, however reduced, positive entity, and darkness being non-entity. Okay, so darkness basically is the absence of light, cold, hot, like I said, red, blue, everything pretty much has like a foil. Everything has something that is the exact opposite of what it is. So um, the next one would be rhythm, which is number 5. The Corpus Hermeticum 14 reads, order maintains the fabric of things established by destiny and necessity. For all this is an everlasting sequence without beginning or end. It rises and falls alternately, and as time rolls onward, that which has disappeared again rises up uppermost. Okay, so yeah, rise and fall. Basically, everything is like a dance or is a rhythm. There's every time you do something or every time you move, there's gonna be like basically it's gonna be a push and pull type of thing going on. So you give and take, vice versa. You have days where you're probably not at your best or things aren't looking as as hopeful as you would like them to be, but ultimately that's just temporary. That's not going to be there for long, so you're going to experience the opposite at one point. And 6, we have cause and effect. Maitland refers to that inexorable law of cause and effect in things moral, in virtue of which man's nature and conditions in the future are the result of the tendencies voluntarily encouraged by him in the past and present. So, like we said earlier, your choices and decisions that you make ultimately affect you in the long run, whether good or bad. There's nothing that you do that basically doesn't come back to you, pretty much. Everything that you do is based off of your energy, and the universe basically sends it back to you. And number 7 is gender. Maitland writes, so far from repudiating the relations of the sexes, the Hermetic doctrine exalts them as symbolizing the loftiest divine mysteries and enjoins their exercise as a duty, the fulfillment of which in some, at least, of his incarnations is essential to the full perfectionment and initiation of the individual. So you're basically either masculine or feminine, but you're supposed to balance your divine masculine, and that is how you basically become a perfected man or woman, is by having a balance between your divine masculine and energy. Divine masculine and feminine energy, my bad. But like you said, this exists on all planes. So no matter where you go or what species that you look at or any form of life, there's always going to be masculine and feminine, no in between. And yeah, I can go into more detail about this, but it's not in this book. So I figured some people would feel as though it would be unrelated, but regardless, the balance of the masculine, feminine, and the divine feminine is really just like a balance of like the elements and stuff like that. So like fire, air, that's masculine, water, earth, that's feminine. So when you learn where these things show up in your personality or in your life, then you'll be able to know how to basically balance these energies that you're dealing with. So yeah, if anybody has any questions or any commentary, yeah, I'm pretty much done at this point.
Islam, man. Yeah, yeah, I got something. Man.
Islam.
Yeah, that was a good presentation, man. And
Thank you.
you know, that masculine and feminine thing is key. Like you just said, that balancing act. That makes the man or the woman best version. Because
Right.
you said, you named certain elements to have, feminine and masculine characteristics, but we also know the logic, and versus being intuitive,
Right.
which is the two too. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the energies is always in play. You can kind of feel yourself shift. Like I'm in a logical mode, I'm in an intuitive mode. Like
Right.
you feel it when you in the bag you in, And
Right.
Yeah, I
brain and left brain. That's what I meant to mention too. I forgot. Right brain and left brain. So right brain, imagination, intuition, like you said, and then left brain will be logical or logic.
Right.
Yeah.
Islam.
Islam, more. That was
Islam,
a good presentation. Islam.
I appreciate it, Noble Islam.
But that first principle,
mentalism,
on mentalism, right? That brought me back to how we could tap into our childhood imagination. Because when I was, any age before 7, I could think about anything and it appeared before me. You know what I'm saying? That day,
right?
You know what I'm saying? And I'm doing my best to tap back into that age where I was in that aquarium mode to be in that aquarium mode now, where everything is like 1, 2, 3. You know what I'm saying? It's appearing before me like with ease, with relief. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
I desire that for all Moors because we all children of the Most High. You know what I'm saying? And we got powers that we came into the planet with that we got to recollect and share with each other. Islam,
Right.
Peace and love.
Islam, Noble. Peace and love. Yep.
Yeah, man.
All right, so 2 things kind of stood out, and it put things better into perspective for me. So I'm just I'm gonna read the first one, and then the other one I just wrote words, so I'm just gonna go off the top. So looking for God outside of yourself causes misalignment, and you basically are detaching from yourself.
Right.
The false idols. So and then this whole gender thing, they are really attacking that like crazy. Right. And the way that you just read this helped me explain why so many people fall for the okie doke. So gender exists on all planes. And people don't realize that just because you're feminine or masculine in this present lifetime, you were not feminine or masculine in the last lifetime. So the planes are like mixed. And if you don't balance the energy, you get those emotions from past life that surface up and I'm wondering why you're feeling this way. Then you got the TV and all of this other shit pushing that shit to you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know how to separate or identify your proper feelings, and that causes a hell of confusion. And I think that's one of the reasons why they attack it so much, because people don't realize you're not this physical person your whole fucking life. You've been something else. You've been something different before you got here. But if you don't know you don't know who you are then or now. It's a big ass confusion.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. They like gender, really as we talking about it, I can see how they're attacking most of these things like mentalism, your vibration, even your correspondence and everything too. Then us not being in rhythm or in harmony with nature. Some of us don't look at our choices as being something that'll affect us later on for different reasons or whatever. And then gender just seems like that's kind of like the principle that they're attacking right now the most, because when they're targeting like the children in schools or on the television, like you said, the TV. So, and then when you see that the literature or whatever they're giving, the package that they're
These
giving children,
books in
it's
school is
ridiculous.
ridiculous.
Yeah. So I think like that's why it's like important for a lot of people to kind of study the Hermetic principles and everything like that, because you could read certain religious texts all day and you still won't get necessarily what everything means. But I feel like the Kabbalion is something that lays kind of like the foundation for just functioning in this plane in general, like on this planet. And I see a lot of religious texts that kind of take certain things from it, but they say it in a way that is hard for the modern person to kind of interpret it the way that it may have been written back, back then at the time that they wrote it down. So, yeah, like everything just seems kind of in harmony, or like basically what's going on today, what we're seeing as far as like this government and everything, it's the opposite of the Kabbalion or whatever. It's kind of like the polar opposite of what they're, what this is teaching us or whatever. They're telling us not to basically, think for ourselves and not to, basically be how do I say it? I guess grateful, whatever word that I could use for it, but I guess like appreciative for how they were created or whatever, them being born, whether you're a man, you're a woman, or whatever. They're trying to basically strip that from you. And I feel like that's another way of debasing yourself or whatever. And, that's another topic that I can get into. But yeah, I just think that everything that they're doing is attacking these specific principles that, it's even the 5 pillars of light: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We know those are being attacked as well. But I think like in particular, specifically, these things are being attacked because your mind is basically, man is mind. So they're going to start off with your mental or whatever. They're going to try to make that hard to, they're going to try to disconnect you from your mind, from who you actually are and how you actually think. They put things in front of you so that those images could actually block those images could block your actual thoughts, rather than, allowing you to naturally basically produce your own thoughts and think for yourself. And that ultimately affects the choices that you make or whatever, based on your mental and everything like that. And then of course the vibrations, so the stuff that we eat in, the stuff that they have you listening to. And yeah, it just kind of seems like everything is kind of like an attack on just principles in general. So
That's wow.
They want to use mind as a battery to further their agenda, rather than for you to be empowered, knowing that you are life force and you can produce your own free energy.
Right.
They want everybody to be puppets. And this is very, very strange. Puppet master, that word has been popping up in my head for the last 3 days. And you was just talking about that and it popped up again. Then the next thing that popped up was curtains fall. So all of this shit is going to be ripped off. It's coming to light. And then timing, fall. That shit stood out too. Like after this new year, it's about to be a whole lot of different shit going on. Like I just pray everybody did their shadow work, because everybody not gonna be able to mentally handle the shit that's going down. Like,
yeah.
And that's low-key sad as fuck. Like,
yeah, you can kind of see who those people are too, though. Like when you look at everything as an overall, you can kind of see like the type of people that's going to fall for that. It's already happened too, like with the whole, the jab and everything like that, and the shots and all that stuff or whatever. You kind of already see who wasn't really like, who kind of had their head in the dirt, basically, whatever. They kind of, didn't really do the research on what this stuff was, because they're used to already taking vaccines, or some people probably never had a vaccine like that or whatever, wasn't even pro-vax or whatever, but they felt like, it scared them into, going to go do it or whatever, or their job, like that. So yeah, you pretty much like have to heal from all that stuff, whatever, clean yourself out or whatever, and get right before, that time come. Cause it's definitely, like you could kind of see everything is gonna get there or whatever, the way stuff is happening all over the planet and stuff. Just because it hasn't happened here yet don't mean it's not going to. It's just I would think that this would probably be like the last place, like, stuff like that would happen, whatever, because basically everybody kind of relies on this here, whatever, what they consider the United States and everything. They rely on doing business over here and everything. So I would think that this would probably be like, like we get it together. I feel like everybody else will get it together around the world. And that's what they don't want. They don't want us to really get, like, some say they want us to get in power, which is true because you got both. You got people that want us to be in power and you got people that don't. So it's always going to be that opposite, that polarity. So.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's a good energy right here, man.
Yeah. Islam.
Wow.
Yeah, the 7 Hermetic principles, you know what I'm saying? That's from master to student, you know what I'm saying? So that is a good one to put people back into a spiritual alignment for a little bit. To
right.
Actually tap in, especially like what you were just saying, for what could be coming very soon. Because a lot of people are on the spiritual side and they ain't really balanced. Like they ain't really got it, like she said, shadow work. They ain't got their shadow work taken care of.
Right.
And for some, it's going to be like you facing some of your toughest attributes, like, and it's coming at full force because these people are going to be trying to, like, to me, it feels like they're going to be trying to put people in FEMA camps and all kind of shit because people ain't going to be knowing their rights. They just going to be trying to, like, violate them every which way. And they ain't going to have, like, the proper verbiage or just people around them. Because, that's the whole purpose of being in the body politic and having a group of people with the like-mindedness to actually stand up for y'all and be like, nah, y'all violating our rights. You know what I'm saying? But essentially, it is about just, coming back into yourself and getting grounded right. With the truth and being able to stand on it.
Islam, yeah, it goes back to that discipline again. You know what I'm saying? Because how I think is that a lot of stuff that's coming up is going to be more so voluntary. Like, hey, come get this right. Alcohol, come get this check, come get this food, come get this weed, come get this, or else you ain't gonna get it. You know what I'm saying? Or
they're gonna try.
It's definitely gonna be a voluntary mindset because remember, everything they do is a chessboard game, so they always need consent first, no matter what they do, or no matter what it looks like on the news or whatever they say. It's always a consent thing or a contract thing, right. And we just got to stay strong, stand firm on our square, and stay disciplined, and get your fasting in now because that shit is coming, man, and stock up on your food and your water because wherever you at is where you're gonna be at, like Brother Taj said. You know what I'm saying? And whoever survived this shit, they're gonna be the ones that inherit the land for real. You know what I mean?
Has anybody read the book called The Adam and Eve Story?
No, I haven't read it.
Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I heard of it.
Okay. Yeah, I've been kind of like watching videos on it and everything like that, and I honestly think that it kind of when it comes it kind of corresponds with the divine warning, like when he says enormous earthquakes and everything like that, diseases, etc. And when I was doing the research on the Adam and Eve story, it made sense. And it was basically saying that, like the pole shifting and basically tsunami, earthquake, that's like basically going to be, it's going to happen within a day, like with less than in a day, but nobody's going to know it's going to happen or whatever. But I think that it's a vibrational thing, you know, like if everybody's vibration is low, then yeah, of course it's gonna happen, whatever. But if everybody raises their vibration, then it could obviously be something that's prevented. So just like how we were just saying, you know, everybody getting ready and doing their stuff, their fasting, getting themselves right. I think that would help, you know, prolong that, because this is, I guess, is something that's happened to civilizations prior, and yeah, like that's where we get the whole land of Mu being sunken or Atlantis being sunken or whatever, is because these people in these places were doing things, or there was something going on as far as low vibratory energy, and the people didn't do anything about it. So, you know, like the earth did it itself, whatever, basically. And I was looking at that, and then there's something called Bible codes. And basically, Bible codes is basically like where you skip a couple letters within a word, but it would have to be like the Hebrew Bible or like the Torah or something like that. And you skip a couple words, but it basically talks about how it basically predicts people in real life, real time today, like in the Bible or whatever. Like it basically knows your birth to the time that you die or whatever, and what you do and everything like that, and how that affects you. And basically what they say is like the Vatican and everything, like they do certain things to try to prevent certain things from happening or whatever. Like they talked about how Osama bin Laden, he was predicted to be in the Bible, Saddam Hussein, all these different people, no matter what their purpose is, what they do, even Gaddafi, all of these people are mentioned through a different like name in the Bible or whatever. So any world famous people you could think of, leaders, political, whether they're European, whether they're Middle Eastern, however you want to call it, they're all pretty much like, you know, in the book or whatever. So you could find somebody today living right now, and if you know like how to read basically Bible codes and everything like that, you could find out, you know.
Yeah, that's the allegory and preambles, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
How you get that, you know what I'm saying?
Right. So
numerology, it's like numerology. So just like what you said with the taking of the letter, it's same with the chapters and the numbers. And then
you remove the vowels, basically.
Yeah, basically. There you go.
Yeah, because they were saying like Hebrew, the original Hebrew, they didn't use vowels. But also, I know the language of like Aramaic is very similar to Hebrew, but it's definitely not the same thing. Like just because you know Aramaic doesn't mean that you would automatically Hebrew. Like you probably would understand it, but you wouldn't be able to speak it or whatever. Yeah, it takes a lot of like, I guess, like research to kind of really like a lot of time and research to really I guess decipher that type of whatever. But that's kind of like basically what I've been looking at lately or whatever, is that whole Adam and Eve story and everything, and then the Bible codes or whatever, because I heard of something like that before, but I didn't really like look into it. But I feel like because it's something that they try to cover up so much, like it has to be some type of significance to it or whatever. They're trying to like basically like prevent people from engaging and researching the Bible codes. You know, I've never read the full Bible. I've read like parts of it, but you know, I think that it'd be a good like something to kind of like unravel or whatever, basically, to kind of see certain things.
Empress Lacey.
Yeah. Islam. Give thanks for the presentation. That was really good.
Thank you.
And yes, the cause and effect really stood out to me. I think we're seeing it right now, just in the world, the cause and effect, what's going on. I feel like there's been a lot of causes to cause me to study more. You know, just y'all mentioned something about the whole vaccine thing, and I remember at my job when I was doing nursing, they did the mandate, and I never got a flu shot, never had any of that. So just off of before knowing about the science or nationality or any of that, I just felt, okay, I have birthrights. Nobody can force me to do anything. So them causing the mandate, that was the effect on me to keep pushing forward. And like how we were talking about standing on our square earlier, like standing on my square, making sure that I put notice of, no, I'm not doing this based on my belief of a supreme creator. And then, helping other people in my job as well get their vaccine exemptions. So that was just a big cause effect type of ripple. And I feel like we're all in that right now. And we're seeing like Empress Clairvoyant Creation says, who's doing that shadow work right now? Because we see it. And I mean, family, our blood relatives and everything. Like, I love my family and all, but I know who my tribe is at the end of the day, for sure. So I give honors, and it's always great to be here and to listen and build with you all. So Islam, give thanks.
Islam.
Yeah, I think giving thanks is a big thing, and being in the present, because I think things are gonna get wild too, but just to enjoy the peace right now, because that's a blessing in itself.
Yeah, I mean, if enough people get on on that positive vibration, I feel like, we wouldn't have too much to worry about. But at the same time, a lot of people, ancient sages and everything, they predict that it'd be very few people that basically, I guess, survive the stuff that is supposed to transpire. But either way, the whole goal is to get everybody, like, get their mind right, get their mind and heart right and everything. So we could all be here, kind of rebuild civilization, whatever it is that we need to do, pretty much. So
yeah, even if catastrophe is important or whatnot, I feel like it's also programmed, like in Revelations and stuff.
right.
So if enough of us believe it, then it's probably gonna collectively manifest too.
Yeah, I think, like, things like that's kind of like happened before and everything. Just, it's hard to kind of tell, how it's gonna play out. But it's like a lot of things that raise questions. Earthquakes popping up everywhere in certain places. That's kind of like that. It's a little suspicious or whatever. Suspect, whatever. Like the whole Turkey thing. That's the kind of suspicious too. Like I ain't never been to Turkey, but the fact that they're dealing with their whole situation, NATO and everything like that, and they just end up having an earthquake. Before that, they was fighting the Kurdish and the Turks or whatever. So I think like a lot of changes going on.
Yeah, but they was also talking about how they wasn't even rocking with what they was even trying to push upon them with the corporation and the policies that they was trying to enforce. So that's probably
Right.
that even did happen. And yeah, that shit is just. But what I was gonna tap back into is just like, being like, okay, we know that catastrophes happen and stuff like that in that nature, and it's just a manifestation of where the person is being, like, getting us all in the court on that same frequency.
Right.
And it's like we can't be prepared for it, because it's just like the Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, like, it can't be told in words. You know what I'm saying? And so if it can't be told in words, the thing is to purify your heart and balance yourself and put yourself back in alignment as much as you can, so that when things start to happen around you, you're protected by that cherubim and seraphim, you know what I'm saying, that you put back in alignment with, you know what I'm saying, because you're putting yourself in alignment to be protected by the ancestors who were already here, and that be yourself, you know what I'm saying. And so, like, a lot of the things that we thinking about, like, yeah, some of us might not even experience it, some of them, because the way we already in align with the cosmic energy of just finding ourselves and being in this light, just being in this beacon of light, kind of like make it feel like, we already in the right place. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it, making sure that our mentalities is like, when we actually do see some of these things, that we can't lose ourselves and go right back to that lower self energy, because then we fall victim again and lose ourselves. Like we won't know how to get back. You know what I'm saying? Because we now stuck in that 3D illusion, because that's basically what this is we're in this 3D realm, stuck in this illusion. And that fourth realm of spirituality is literally like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Have you tapped in with me? Because, that fifth dimension finna kick off, and, third eye is finna be open, and everybody's going to be on telepathy and teleportation, and everything is within thought, because everything is ought. You know what I mean? So it's just like it's reinsurance to keep hearing everybody tap in and just be thankful, because that's what it is for. It's to be thankful and give thanks for the littlest things that we got, because most of the time we don't give thanks. You know what I'm saying? We just be on the go. You know what I'm saying? Just we here. We up, wake up, rise, and go. We don't even say thank you, Allah. You know what I'm saying? We just be on the move. You know what I mean? And that's the thing, is to balance ourselves and ground ourselves, to be thankful for these moments. And I yield.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
All right, so you started talking about the Bible codes, and that just took me on a whole circle. Hopefully this makes sense, but I haven't really processed everything. But yeah. So the Bible codes took me to birth charts, because you have to decode your birth chart.
Right.
And then you have to decode the Bible codes. So then it took me to writings on the wall, hidden words, manifesting, scribe, magic writing. So Humboldt said they can't hide anything from us that they're doing. They have to tell us. So they wrote it in these books, in these birth charts. And once we learn how to break those codes, we make a shift. And I've never really heard about the Bible codes before, but I definitely want to dig into that and see what it is. Because for me, the way I've seen this as your birth chart is basically decoding yourself, and then the Bible codes is decoding humanity. So that way you will know certain things, certain people, certain events, and you can change that frequency by either writing it or correcting your actions, helping other people correct their actions. And that's what they actually don't want us to do, because they want us to remain puppets. So that's
Right.
why all of this stuff is hidden, and we have to go seek and find it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's through the preambles of like the scriptures that we read, you know what I'm saying? The parables. You know what I'm saying? That's basically what as you were saying, decoding your birth chart, using numerology to tie it in with which numbers, because we know the 9 is nothing past 9. But just being able to find that synchronicity where it lines up with you know what I'm saying? And yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. Bible codes. I think that's I think the Bible code is part of numerology.
Yeah.
All this stuff is connected and it goes together. We just need to learn how to overlap it so it makes sense to us. And
Yeah.
just because you do it one way, it might not make sense to the next person. So it's better if you do this stuff for yourself, so that way you have the proper information and the proper knowledge. Because it'd be people out here that be feeding you the wrong information. Sometimes it be by accident, sometimes it be on purpose, but you got to use your discernment and pay attention. Like,
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Y'all know what esoteric means?
The hidden, the inside, basically the
the skeleton.
like religion or I guess like, like
Nah, you was right.
the Bible would be like external. Or how about this? The Torah would be external. The Zohar would be internal. Or the Kabbalion, or not Kabbalion, the Kabbalah would be internal, whatever. So every religion has a occult or esoteric side, basically, that explains the hidden meanings of everything.
Right. So that's why I brought that up, because the emperor just said the hidden reveal, right? The hidden gets
Right.
revealed. That's pretty much what this, science is for.
Right.
So that's what makes it, esoteric information.
Cat, be
But,
quiet.
but it wouldn't be esoteric if people at
Everybody.
large knew it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's esoteric because a lot of people don't know about it. So that's
Right.
so yeah, you know what I mean. But that's
I put you in there so you can leave me
I
alone.
mean, she said hidden and revealed. Esoteric just came to my mind. I'm like, you know what I mean. But
Anybody want to buy a cat?
How old?
Did I send
Nah.
the video to the chat about, you know what I'm saying, explaining the colors of the cats and what they represent and all that? Was that to that chat? I don't know. I'll send it again. But man, I want to say happy holy day and peace and love to all the Moors. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I hope everybody has a blissful day. You know what I'm saying?
yes, that's Salam, man. Happy holy day, man. It's a pretty good
Islam.
holy day. Pretty good energy today, man.
Happy holy day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Islam. Happy holy day.
Peace, mother. Peace, Hanun. I see you in there. Hey, Mataza, my G.
Islam. Islam.
Islam.
Bo, I see you, Noble. Roselle, on.
You want to say
And the
Islam?
Empress Phoenix.
Islam. Oh.
You gonna say Islam? Peace.
Islam. Hi, Sharabi.
She's so cute. Look at her.
I was
She
just
always
about to say that.
right, like she's not scared of the camera at all. Like, y'all up in there.
We seen her though. We seen her though, huh? We seen her.
And then yeah, because
Islam.
she's the daughter of Raphael. That's like
Yeah.
not camera shy.
Oh, that's what I asked. Does everybody on the Zoom know what shadow work is? Is everybody familiar?
Is that with meditation and writing out like things that you want to like discard from your heaviest past life, like things you might have been doing or something like that, and also like affirmations, of self-manifestation, of like basically putting forth the energy that you want, like basically being only put out what you know that you're going to become, like not know what you're going to become, but what you feel that you are, because that's basically how you want to, you know what I'm saying, see yourself. You want to see yourself as it is, as you think it, you know what I'm saying, and manifest all those good energies forthcoming, even if you don't necessarily feel, or not so much feel, but just know exactly what to say. It's basically just how you should actually see yourself.
Right. So
Islam.
okay, go ahead. Islam.
Islam. I was gonna say like shadow work, shadows, the things that are in the dark. We gotta look into those things. I feel like the core roots, those childhood traumas, that could be affecting us and, keeping us in that same loop, that same pattern. So like going back to the core and the root and, taking all of that stuff and getting to that root cause of it and then moving forward to the next cycle. That's what I take it as well.
Islam. Yeah. So that's pretty much the gist. Y'all both it was pretty much right about it. I know that usually like Alner was saying, as far as writing it down, you basically want to write down, like, you want to be conscious of everything that you do that's kind of like, that would be considered like, I guess, like your lower self. So every time you lie, even whether it's small or big, you write it down in a book and you decipher why you lied about it, all that stuff or whatever. And then on top of that, like your shadow self. So you're not supposed to deny your shadow self and act like it doesn't exist or is not there, because if you do, it comes out in mutated form. So whatever your thing is going to come out times 10 or whatever, depending on whether or not you've been doing the shadow work or whatever. And also, not only is it about recognizing like your shadow and everything like that, but there's things that you have to do in order to feed the shadow self, basically. So like, let's say like somebody walked down the street and bump your shoulder or whatever. Your higher self gonna be like, I'm gonna let that slide or whatever, this or that. But that's appropriate. But there are also times where it's appropriate to kind of be like, you know, hey, like kind of speak up for yourself as well. So that's shadow work as well. You're supposed to be like, you know, hey, bro, like you kind of like just bumped into me and you ain't say excuse me or nothing like that, or whatever. Like you don't, obviously you don't got to come off, you know, turning up on them or nothing like that. But, you know, like certain things you have to acknowledge or whatever for yourself, whatever. Because if not, you let it just go and be something else or whatever, then it's gonna grow because something else might happen or whatever the next day, and you never like sat there and like, you know, basically kind of deciphered, or unless you're just the type of person that just don't, you know, that doesn't mind stuff like that, or that's already kind of like nonchalant or whatever. But some people, they kind of like may feel a way. They might take their mind, you know, their brain is gonna take that differently or whatever, versus how you might actually feel about it, or you think that you feel about it or whatever. You're not knowing that it's affecting you with other things or whatever, that, you know, dealing with other people. You might go home or something like that and somebody else do something or whatever. So now you taking it out on them, but that energy was for the person that bumped into you or whatever. And that's kind of what it is too. It's just like basically sticking up for yourself, making sure that you recognize your negative aspects and how you can work on it, basically, whatever. Because everything is just basically a balance to the higher and the lower self. So, you know, we need to eat, everything like that. Those are, you know, lower self. People want to eat, desire food all the time. So, but that's something that's necessary. As long as you don't, I guess, overeat, stuff yourself, but it still will be considered a temptation, regardless of whether you're hungry or not, starving or not. It's a temptation. So there's good and bad and everything, and that's what the yin and yang symbol is for. It's like there's good and bad, and there's bad and good, whatever, basically. So pretty much what shadow work is, just in case anybody wasn't necessarily sure on what it was. Because I know, like, some people, when I heard shadow work, when I found out about shadow work, it wasn't explained in detail to me. It was just kind of like, you know, people would be like, oh, you got to do your shadow work, you got to do shadow work, and it's kind of like, what I used to be like, what is shadow work? What are they talking about? Then I look more into it and start, you know, reading more like books as far as esoteric, because that's where you're going to find it out. Like, you're going to find the information about your shadow self in esoteric books. Your Bible or your regular Quran, they're not going to necessarily talk or go deep into what your shadow self is and how you need to work with it or whatever, because that's just that book is for a specific aspect of yourself, whatever. It doesn't cover the whole. So Islam.
Islam. And that's the beauty of cross-referencing, because it's like you're not going to get everything in one book, but
right.
Multiple books to tell a story, you know, and you start drawing rational conclusions, you know. But yeah, no, this is great. Yeah, so I would imagine everybody sees the website is up. You know, everybody just, you know, push it. Throw the link on their advertisement stories, whatever.
Yeah, it took me forever to figure out how to do that. I was like, man, when you said it, I was like, man, how am I gonna do this? I was like, I tried to share it, and it was like, it popped up to where it showed that I could only share it to other people. So then I had to go to the little thing in my sticker, click the link, figure it out and everything. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I definitely got the hang of it though.
You know, I just figured it out too, like a couple days ago. I'm going crazy right now with it. Every little thing I'm throwing a link up there.
Islam, I believe in the link as well. You can add your own name in there for like, you can paste the link, but then you can customize it to say whatever you want to say too.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, man, that marketing key, man.
Hey, nigga, we both late. What you mean? Like, I'm late too, nigga.
I'm not savvy. Savvy with tech.
Nah, tech savvy, man. I'm from the old school. I'm from the.
I'm not either. I'll be late too. I'll be having to on this stuff. So I'm just ahead of y'all. That's it.
You ahead of us, son.
You know, Yeah, man, just everybody, everybody got different, audience. So
Yeah.
the merch, man. It's real easy for them to hit that checkout. And, yeah. Oh, and everybody that's doing the pop-ups too, I highly recommend getting a reader, credit card reader.
Okay.
If y'all got any type of bank account or whatever, might as well. Just take it
Cash
out.
App.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And if not, I think you can go like get a Chime and convert it or something. I had an old PayPal thing, so I was like, man, I might as well just use it. And I just converted it to like a business PayPal thing. And now I wait for it to come in the mail. So now people, when I do my pop-ups, because I swear I missed like at least 7 transactions because I don't have a credit card. Like it'd be people that don't got the apps. They don't have cash, but they got credit card. Like I got credit card, like I can't do nothing with that. So, you want to
Right.
get money out there.
Right.
Do you have the scanner that plugs into your phone, or is it something that's completely separate?
Well, it's on the way, so it's gonna be like it's an app. So I'm gonna download an app that corresponds to the credit card scanner. It's through PayPal, and then once they swipe, they just input their information. And yeah,
But I'm saying, like, does it connect to your phone, or is it a whole separate
you can do
thing
both. You can do
Okay.
both. Yeah, it's like a Bluetooth type of thing, or you could do the analog. You can yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's that'd be a lot of money people be missing out on because they don't got that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because most people don't have cash like that. It's very. I mean, people do clearly, but there's some people that don't.
Both. Yeah. Some people do be like, I ain't got cash on me or X, Y.
If they gotta use that card, they might encourage them to buy more stuff too. Like,
But most of the time, be like, do you Cash App? And I think that's what be saving it. It's like the fact that Cash App is a thing.
Yeah. But people starting to get spooked. Like they like, I guess something happened with Cash App. They're like, I don't mess with Cash App. But it's like rare. Most people do.
Right.
But yeah, man. Anybody else got any thoughts before we close out?
Islam, I just wanted to mention on the card reader. Last summer we did, excuse my voice too. I've been on the phones at work all day. So it's like it's 1 a.m. My voice is gone now. But we had a Square reader.
Oh yeah.
We had stopped using it though, because I was seeing it was taking out a separate charge on every transaction that we had. So I don't know, they were taking out like their own taxes and stuff on every charge. So we just Cash App right now in cash, but I do need to study on, I guess there's more different card readers out there than just one.
Stop trying to.
It's interesting. We're gonna test it out, see what happens. Because you can see right there on each transaction what's gonna happen. So after the first one, you're gonna be able to tell. But hopefully it ain't nothing too crazy. But yeah. But you got something, Razion?
Yeah, Islam. I just want to say I'm grateful for the topic that the brother picked to read to us, and everything everybody shared to add to it. It was all beautiful and felt from the heart.
Islam, Noah.
Yeah, man.
Islam.
Anybody else got anything? Any other thoughts? All right. Well, I'll see. Oh yeah. Well, I'll see everybody Sunday. Majority of y'all Sunday. And have a beautiful night. Enjoy the rest of y'all holy day. And peace and love.
Islam, Lord, have a good night.
Islam, Lord, y'all have a good night as well. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Ali, I'm gonna send you. I'm gonna post something on my IG about that Adam and Eve, and because I can't send it; it's too big. But I'm gonna keep it real, but I'm gonna post it and send it. But it's yeah, you'll like it.
All right, yeah, just tag me in it.
Same thing that you were basically talking about in what we just went through in class. So yeah.
Okay.
All right, man.
It's
I
fine.
got a appointment with Dre on Wednesday, 11 for the studio
Okay.
to finish up those last little songs for the Canaan Land thing. And
Okay.
yeah. But all right, shalom everybody.
Islam.
Islam.